Howdy data people, Kevin here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to bring in definitions from a SQL database to enhance your Power BI dataset. So this question came up in a Guy in a Cube live stream a few weeks ago. Noah asked in the chat, is there a way to automate the process of bringing in the extended properties from a SQL tables and adding them to description and modeling view in Power BI? Using DAX Studio or Tabular Editor maybe. The answer is yes. Tabular Editor could help with this quite a bit. Let's take a look at the documentation. Here you're seeing on the Tabular Editor documentation a way to export and import properties from a file. This uses a tab separated values file, and you could export or import name, description, these values here. So today we're going to focus on the description. Okay, let's take a look at what this produces when we run it off of our Power BI dataset. Okay, here we have our Power BI dataset, and we're going to go to External Tools, and we'll start up Tabular Editor. I will use Tabular Editor 2 today. This will work in Tabular Editor 2 or 3. Okay, so I have Tabular Editor 2 open, and you can see I have a modified version of the script from that documentation. I am exporting only the description, and I'm selecting all columns. Let's take a look at what that produces when it saves the file. So this is the result of running that command saved into a file. You can see from the header that it requires the object, then it has a tab, and then the description. And there's no descriptions here yet. That's why everything is blank after the tab. But you can see the format for each column to where it specifies the model T for table, then the table name, C for column, and then the column name. So we could generate this from SQL. Well, let's go see how that would look. Okay, so here I am in SQL Server Management Studio. I first want to show you that if you haven't had the chance to add descriptions within SQL Server, this would be the function to do that. It is the SP add extended properties function. And you give it the name of the property you want to add. In this case, I'm using description. And you may need to look at this within your database to see if somebody used anything different if they've added the values. What that value is, which is in this case my description, and then I'm giving the schema, and in this case a view name, and the column name that I want that assigned to. And I'll have a link to this file and all these files out on the comments. So if I wanted to see what was there, I would switch over to this query, and you could see I ran to grab all of the columns for all the tables, all the views, and I could see that I have a property of description and a value for every one of them. You'll notice when it's assigned at the table level, the column name is blank in this query, otherwise the column name is filled in. Okay, so this is getting a whole lot closer into something that we could generate to match what that TSV file looks like. All right, so let's take a look at how we would generate that file. This piece of code is going to select all of the descriptions for both our tables and our columns, and you can see here that it's building the string that is going to have the tab separation in it. This character 9 is the tab character. When we run this query, we're going to send the results to a file. But before we do that, we want to change a few settings. I'm going to come here to Query Options, Advanced, and the first thing we're going to turn off is this Show Completion Time. Make sure that is unchecked. Next, we're going to come into Text, and we're going to uncheck column headers in the results set. We click OK. We're going to execute this. It's going to ask us for a file location. We're going to call it definitions in this case. .tsv. and we could say to all files, and now that got saved to our location. Okay, so let's take a look at what our file looks like. We can see we have the header, and then we have a row for every definition we want to bring in. The first set of rows is at the table level, and you can see it is just the table name and then the description. And then the remaining rows are all the column levels, and it's the column name and the description. We can now return to Tabular Editor, bring in this file, and execute it. Let's do that. We return to Tabular Editor, and you see I have a new script open, and that's going to read the file that we just produced. Make sure that you set your file name correctly in this string, and then it's going to run the import properties. So we'll execute that. And we see we have successfully made 75 model changes. Now the big keys here is you need to make sure you save your changes to the connected database. That is your Power BI model. And if we open up back up Power BI, we will see we now have this apply changes. We also look, we could see the description here. Now there is a issue here, is that Power BI Desktop does not allow you to change table properties. So once we hit apply changes, which we're going to have to, it's going to go back, hit our database, and the description for our tables is gone. But if we look at the column level, the descriptions for our columns are there. So unfortunately, due to this restriction, we would have to take that tab separated file and then copy the table level descriptions in hand by hand. Okay, so I hope this was helpful to see how to import descriptions into your model. We do have that restriction. We're not going to be able to get the table level in, but the majority of the work is probably getting your column descriptions in anyways. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. Thank you.